He was rejected by Harvard 10 times and for a job at KFC, yet he built a multi-billion-dollar empire. This is the unbelievable story of how a man who knew nothing about technology used his greatest failures to change the world. If you're ready for stories that don't just entertain, but empower you, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell because your journey to unstoppable self-belief starts right now. Today, I have a story for you, but I need you to listen carefully. I need you to give me your attention for just a few minutes because this story is not just about a billionaire. It is not just about a man who built a company worth many, many billions of dollars. This story is about you. You see, the story of Jack Ma is not really about success. It is about pain. It is about rejection. It is about feeling humiliated. And it is about failing again and again and again. This is a story about a boy who was laughed at. A boy who was rejected by Harvard University, not one time, not 2 times, but 10 different times. A boy who everyone said was not good enough. But do you know what this boy said? Every time someone told him no, he said, "I will try again tomorrow." He was not born rich. He was not a genius. He was not big or strong. He did not even know how to write computer code. But still, he became one of the richest and most respected men in the world. How? How did he do it? He did it because he had something that money cannot buy. He had belief in himself. He had a hope that was unbreakable, a hope that could not be crushed. And he had a dream that was much, much bigger than his fear. So today, I am not just telling you a story about Jack Ma. I am showing you that you can rise too. It does not matter where you are in your life right now. It does not matter how many times you have failed. There is a Jack Ma inside of you too. So now, please sit back. Open your heart and try to feel every line of this story, because from here, we are going to go deep. His name was Ma Yun. Yes, that's right, Jack Ma is not his real name. His birth name is Ma Yun. He was born on the 10th of September in 1964 in a city called Hangzhou in China. He was a very small boy. He was thin and looked a little weak, and he did not seem to have any special talents. His family was not rich. They were a normal family. They did not have a car or even a television set in their home. They lived in a small house on a narrow street, a street filled with the sounds of everyday life. But there was something that made this little boy different. He was curious. He was always asking questions. He wanted to know more about everything, especially about the world outside of his city, outside of China. He grew up at a time when China was still very closed off from the rest of the world. There was no internet. There were no foreign schools to go to. For most people, there were no big dreams of connecting with other countries. But Jack was different. He wanted to see the world. He wanted to understand English. He dreamed of connecting with people from other countries to hear their stories and share his own. So what did he do? He did not just dream. He acted. At the very young age of 12, he started riding his bicycle every single morning to a big hotel in his city. It was called the Hangzhou Hotel. Why did he go there? Because that was the place where foreign tourists came to stay. Every day, he woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning when the sky was still dark and quiet. He took his old rusty bicycle and rode it across the city to that hotel. He did not go there to ask for money. He went there to talk to foreigners. He would offer to show them around the city to be their guide. He just wanted to practice his English. For 9 years, he did this, every single morning, for free. Can you imagine that 9 years of dedication? Most people want success quickly. They want results tomorrow. But Jack? He was planting seeds. He was watering them every day, patiently knowing that one day they would grow into something beautiful. He was building his future, one conversation at a time. Now Jack was never a great student in school. In fact, he failed his exams many times. In middle school, he failed 2 times. In high school, he failed 3 times. And when it came to the big college entrance exams, the most important exams in a young person's life in China, he failed 2 times. Can you imagine the pressure he felt? In China at that time, these exams decided your entire future. If you failed, people would look at you differently. They might think you are useless, that you will never amount to anything. His parents were worried. His teachers were disappointed. But Jack did not let their worries become his. He just said to himself, "I will try again." Finally, on his 3rd attempt, he passed. He got into a local college called the Hangzhou Teachers Institute. It was not a famous university, but for him it was a victory. He studied English, the language he loved, and he graduated with a bachelor's degree in English. He was now a teacher. After he graduated, Jack started looking for jobs. He applied to 30 different jobs, and every single one of them said no. He applied to become a police officer. They looked at him so small and thin, and they said, "You are not fit for this job." He applied for a job at KFC, the fast food restaurant. It was one of the first KFCs to open in his city, and it was a big deal. 24 people applied for the job that day. 23 people were hired. The only person who was rejected was Jack. Even a simple job at a local hotel rejected him. The manager told him, "You are not good-looking enough. You talk too much. You just don't have the right skills." Now I want you to think for a moment. How many people, after so much rejection, would just give up? How many people would start to believe what others were saying? They would say, "Maybe they are right. Maybe I am just not made for success." But Jack said something different. He looked at all these closed doors, and he said, "I will find my own way. If no one will give me a chance, I will create my own chance." One day, while he was helping a tourist in Hangzhou, Jack became good friends with an American family. They liked his energy, his curiosity, his positive spirit. They liked him so much that they gave him a new name, an English nickname, Jack. They said that his Chinese name, Ma Yun, was a little hard for them to pronounce. And from that day on, Ma Yun became Jack Ma. This family did more than give him a name. They gave him hope. They told him amazing stories about the world outside of China. They told him about how life could be different, full of possibilities. They even invited him to visit them in the United States. For the first time, Jack's dreams started to feel real. They started to feel bigger. With this new confidence, he applied to one of the best universities in the world, Harvard University. He applied 10 times, and 10 times he received a letter that said no. Most people would feel completely broken after that. But Jack, he just laughed. He told his friends, "Even if Harvard doesn't want me, the world still needs me." He refused to see it as a failure. He saw it as a sign that he was meant for a different path. He started to learn about something new, something that was just beginning to appear in the world. It was called the Internet. Jack was 31 years old when he saw the Internet for the very first time. He was visiting his friends in the United States. Someone showed him a computer and a search engine. He was nervous, but also very curious. He typed a word into the search bar. The word was beer. In just a few seconds, he saw pages and pages of results. He saw American beer, German beer, Japanese beer, but he scrolled and scrolled. And he saw no Chinese beer. He thought to himself, "How is this possible? My country has so many people, so many breweries. Why is there nothing about Chinese beer on the internet? Then he typed another word, a much bigger word. He typed China. Again, there were almost no results. The world's biggest country was almost invisible on the world's newest technology. That night, Jack Ma could not sleep. He sat by the window in his friend's house just staring up at the stars. The world felt so big and so full of mystery. He kept asking himself the same questions over and over. Why is China not on the internet? Why don't we have anything online? Then slowly, a new thought began to form in his mind. It was a quiet thought at first, like a little whisper, but it grew louder and louder. Maybe it's because no one has done it yet. Maybe that person could be me. He did not know much about technology. He had no idea how websites worked. He was an English teacher, not a computer scientist. But he knew one thing for sure. He had found a problem. And in his mind, every single problem is an opportunity in disguise. When Jack returned to China, he had only one goal. He wanted to build a company that could help Chinese businesses get online. He had no money, so he went to his friends and family. He borrowed $2,000 and started his very first company. He called it China Pages. The idea was simple. He wanted to help small Chinese companies create their own websites so they could connect with customers around the world. But there was a very big problem. Back then, almost no one in China understood what the internet was. People did not trust it. They thought it was some kind of joke, or maybe even a scam. Jack and his small team went from door to door. They walked into small shops. They talked to manufacturers in their factories. They tried to explain their vision to small business owners. Most of these people had never even touched a computer before. When Jack explained how a website on the internet could help their business grow, many people laughed right in his face. They would look at him with confusion. Some even said, "Are you crazy? Who is going to buy things from a screen?" People need to see and touch what they buy. But Jack did not stop. He believed in the future. He could see a world that they could not see yet. He believed that one day people would shop online, talk online, and even live online. Still, his company China Pages did not do well. It struggled. There were too many government rules, there was not enough support, and there was very low trust from the people. It was not a success. In fact, it was his first big failure in the world of business. But here is what makes Jack so different from other people. He did not cry. He did not get angry and blame the world for his problems. He simply looked at the situation and said, "Good. One thing failed. I learned a lot from it. Now let's try again." Failure for him was just another lesson. It was the year 1999. Jack was now 35 years old. He had just finished working for a government project for a few years where he tried to help businesses go digital. But deep inside his heart, his own dream was still alive. It was burning brighter than ever. One evening, he invited 17 of his closest friends to his small apartment in Hangzhou. They all gathered in his living room. There were no comfortable chairs, no big office table. They just sat on the floor close together. The room was not filled with furniture, but it was filled with something much more important. It was filled with passion, with belief, and with the energy of a burning dream. Jack stood up in front of them. His friends looked at him, their faces full of curiosity. He took a deep breath and said, "I am going to start a new company. It will connect Chinese businesses to the entire world. And I will call it Alibaba." His friends looked at him. Some of them smiled with excitement. Some looked a little confused. One of his friends asked a question. Jack's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, "Because everyone in the world knows the story of Alibaba and the 40 Thieves." And what was the magic password in that story? It was Open Sesame. My company will be the open sesame for small businesses. It will open the door to fortune and opportunity for them. It was a name that people all over the world could remember. It sounded global, and it had a little bit of magic inside it. That day, those 18 people, including Jack, became the very first team of Alibaba. Jack had no real business model. He had no money from big investors. He had almost no technology. But he had something much more powerful. He had a team that believed in him, and he had a belief that one day his small startup born in his tiny apartment would change the world. In the beginning, life was very, very hard. Jack and his team worked directly from his apartment. It was their office, their home, their everything. They worked day and night, often sleeping for only a few hours on the floor or on their desks. There was no salary. There was no comfortable office. There was no luxury. But there was love. There was a feeling of family. They truly believed that they were building something historic, something that would be remembered for a long time. They created a platform, a website, where small businesses in China could list their products and buyers from anywhere in the world could find them and contact them. At that time, big American companies like Amazon and eBay were already growing very fast in the West. But no one had done something this big specifically for Chinese businesses. Jack knew it was a very risky idea. But he also knew something else. He told his team, "If we don't do this now, someone else will." Still, money was a huge problem. The company was running out of cash. Jack went to many banks to ask for a loan to keep the company alive. But guess what happened? He was rejected by more than 10 different banks. The bankers would look at his plan and shake their heads. They said, "This plan is not clear. It's too risky. No one will use this service." Just when things looked hopeless, a big moment came. A very important investor from a company in Japan called SoftBank decided to visit China. His name was Masayoshi Son. He met with Jack. They sat down to talk. After listening to Jack talk about his vision for only 5 minutes, Masayoshi Son looked at him and said, "I will invest $20 million in your company." Jack was completely shocked. He could not believe what he was hearing. He asked, "But you don't want to see my business plan. You don't want to look at my numbers." Masayoshi Son smiled and said something that Jack would never forget. He said, "I am not investing in the plan. I am investing in the person." That single moment changed everything for Alibaba. Most bosses want to be the smartest person in the room. They want to have all the answers. But Jack Ma was different. He once said, "I always try to hire people who are smarter than me. My job is not to be the best. My job is to bring out the best in others." He treated his team like they were his family. They celebrated every small victory together, no matter how small. They cried together when things went wrong. They stayed together when they had no money, and the future was uncertain. One time, when the company was very close to shutting down, Jack called a meeting. He looked at his tired team and said, "Even if we have only one bowl of rice left, we will share it and eat it together." That is the kind of leader he was. He was a leader who made his team feel important, feel valued, feel like they were part of something special. He was not a boss. He was a believer. In Jack's own words, he said, "Getting money is not success. That is just the beginning. Now we have to prove that we deserve it." So what did Jack do with the $20 million? He did not buy a big fancy office. He did not spend the money on expensive advertising or luxury cars. Instead, he invested it in 3 things: his people, the technology, and building the right company culture. Jack Ma believed one thing very deeply. Culture is more important than strategy. He wanted his company to feel like a tribe, like a big family, like a place where people worked with passion, not just for a salary. So here are some of the things Jack did differently. He gave everyone in the company weird nicknames. Jack's own nickname was Crazy Jack. Other people were called things like Big Mouth Tiger Face or Money Man. These were funny, playful names that made people feel like they were part of something unique and united, not just another boring company. Every employee, from the computer programmers to the person who cleaned the office, was treated with respect. Jack once said, if you want people to work like they are owners of the company, you must treat them like owners. They also had morning dances in the office. Yes, dancing. Every morning before starting their work, the whole team would get together to stretch, jump, and dance to music. Why? Because Jack believed that positive energy brings success. A happy team builds a happy company. On the weekends, they would often have karaoke nights right there in the office. Jack loved to sing, even though everyone said he was not a very good singer. But he would get up on the little stage and sing with all his heart. He said, "When we sing together, we stay together." This was not a normal company. This was Alibaba, a family with a very big mission. By the year 2002, Alibaba was growing fast in China. More and more small businesses were signing up. Trade was increasing. People were finally beginning to understand the incredible power of the internet. But then a storm came. A very big storm. A company called eBay entered the Chinese market. At that time, eBay was a giant. It was a powerful, rich, and experienced company from the West. They had millions of dollars. They had the best technology. And soon, eBay bought a local Chinese company and began to take over the market. Everyone thought that Alibaba was finished. They believed that this small Chinese company could not possibly compete with the American giant. Even some of Jack's own team members started to worry. They came to him and said, "Jack, eBay is just too big. We can't win this fight." But Jack stood in front of his entire team, looked them in the eyes, and said something unforgettable. He said, "eBay is a shark in the ocean, but we are a crocodile in the Yangtze River. If we fight them in the ocean, we will lose. But if we fight them here in our river, we will win." He knew China better than eBay ever could. He knew how small businesses in China worked. He understood their language, their dreams, and their fears. So Jack made a very bold decision. He launched a brand new platform in 2003. He called it Taobao. It was an online shopping website very similar to eBay, but with one huge difference. It was free. Yes, completely free. While eBay charged sellers a fee to list their products, Taobao allowed them to sell for free. Jack said, "Let's win their hearts first. The money will come later." Jack brought his team together and told them, "We are not just building a website. We are building the future of China." They worked non-stop. They stayed in the office for days at a time. Some employees even brought blankets and pillows and slept under their desks. They ordered cheap noodles for dinner and kept working coding testing, calling sellers, and fixing problems. Jack would walk around the office late at night when everyone was tired. He would talk to his team members, give them encouragement, tell them stories, and make jokes to keep their spirits high. One night, when everyone was completely exhausted, he said, "Remember, we are fighting for something that is bigger than us. One day, you will tell your children and your grandchildren that you were there. You were there when China's internet was born." That gave them strength. That gave them fire. eBay noticed that Taobao was growing very quickly, so they started spending millions and millions of dollars on advertising. They tried to cut their prices match Taobao's services and even buy other small competitors. But Jack had a secret weapon. He understood people. He knew that Chinese sellers were not just looking for a platform to sell things. They were looking for support, for a community, and for trust. So he added special features that eBay did not have. He added a direct chat function so buyers and sellers could talk to each other freely and build relationships. He made the website design colorful and fun, not like the boring gray style of eBay. He offered free tips and education for new sellers, teaching them how to succeed. Slowly, step by step, the people of China started to love Taobao. They felt like it was made for them. eBay felt like a cold, foreign machine. Taobao felt like a warm, local friend. The turning point came in 2005. Something huge happened. Yahoo, another American internet giant, offered Jack Ma $1 billion to buy a 40% share in Alibaba. Jack agreed to the deal, but he made sure of one very important thing. He told them, "We will control the company. No matter how much money you give us, Alibaba will always be run by us, by our team." With that $1 billion, Jack strengthened Taobao. He offered even better services, hired more talented people, built bigger offices, and trained thousands of new sellers. eBay simply could not handle the pressure. They started losing more and more ground. Finally, by the year 2006, eBay decided to shut down their operations in China. Jack had won. A small team from a small apartment had defeated a global giant. Did Jack celebrate wildly? Did he become arrogant? No. He simply gathered his team and told them, "We did not win because we are smarter or better. We won because we stayed close to the people." Let's never, ever forget that. We are here to serve. That is what made him so special. He never let success make him forget where he came from. He always stayed grounded. He always stayed humble. After this big victory, Alibaba expanded very quickly. A new platform called AliExpress was launched to help small businesses sell their products directly to international customers. A new company called Alibaba Cloud was created to compete with Amazon Web Services. And Alipay, their online payment system, grew to become China's largest online wallet. Jack did not just build websites, he built an entire ecosystem, a whole online world for business. And he still did it with love, with joy, and with the same passion he had on day one. People all over the world wanted to hear him speak. Famous universities like Harvard and Stanford invited him to give talks. World leaders wanted to meet him and learn from him. Students saw him as their hero. And other CEOs, they either feared him or they admired him. Sometimes it was both. But behind all of this incredible success, Jack was starting to feel something new inside him. He was tired. Not physically tired and not mentally tired. But he felt that his mission was now bigger than just business. He started thinking more and more about education, about young people, and about the future of humanity. And that is when everything began to change again. Between the years 2010 and 2014, Alibaba grew faster than ever before. AliExpress became one of the world's biggest platforms for global exports. Alipay, which was now part of a new company called Ant Financial, grew to become even bigger than PayPal. Alibaba Cloud started to challenge Amazon Web Services in Asia. And Taobao, along with a new platform called Tmall, ruled Chinese e-commerce. Jack had always believed in serving the small guy. His vision was to give small businesses the power that only big companies used to have, and he had made it happen. By 2014, Alibaba was ready for a truly historic moment. It was preparing for the biggest IPO, or initial public offering, in the history of the world. On September 19, 2014, the entire world was watching. Wall Street, the financial heart of America, was buzzing with excitement. Alibaba was about to go public on the New York Stock Exchange. People were calling it China's Amazon. Jack Ma walked into the New York Stock Exchange wearing a simple suit, smiling calmly. But inside he was nervous. He had never seen this kind of attention before. There were cameras everywhere, reporters shouting his name, billionaires, bankers, and even fans trying to get a glimpse of him. When the IPO finally opened, Alibaba's value shot up to an incredible $231 billion. In one day, Jack Ma became the richest man in China. But when a reporter rushed up to him and asked Mr. Ma, "How do you feel about being the richest man in China?" he did not boast. He simply said, "This is not my money. I am just holding it for the people. This is their trust in me. My job is to use it wisely." That was Jack. Always humble, always focused on making an impact, not on luxury. After the IPO, Jack had everything a person could dream of: fame, power, incredible wealth, and global respect. But his heart was moving in a different direction now. He wanted to change education. He wanted to help young people become dreamers, leaders, and kind human beings. So he started the Jack Ma Foundation. He began visiting schools in poor rural areas of China. He started donating millions of dollars to improve education, not just in China, but also in Africa, India, and Southeast Asia. He wanted to teach kids to believe in themselves just like he once believed in himself when the rest of the world said no. Jack Ma said, "If I have to choose between being a billionaire or being a teacher, I choose teaching." He even started giving speeches to teenagers saying things like, "Don't chase money, chase learning. Don't fear failure, learn from it. Don't try to be the best, try to be the most unique." People began to call him the Teacher Billionaire. On September 10, 2019, which was Jack's 55th birthday, and also Teacher's Day in China, he made a big announcement. He announced that he would officially retire from Alibaba. He was not retiring because he was tired, and not because he was bored. He was retiring because he believed that a good leader knows when it is time to leave. He said, "If I stay at the company for too long, I will become a boss. I want to leave as a friend." He organized a farewell party like no other. More than 60,000 employees gathered in a massive stadium in Hangzhou. There were bright lights, loud music, many tears, and a lot of dancing. Jack came out on stage wearing a rock star outfit with a leather jacket and a guitar in his hand. He was singing Chinese pop songs. He laughed, he cried, and he danced with his people one last time. In his final speech, he told his team, "I was never the smart one. I failed so many times, but I never, ever gave up. If I can do it, you can do it too. Believe in yourself. Love your dream. And remember, the best is yet to come." The crowd stood up and clapped for 10 minutes straight. That night, China cried with joy and sadness. Jack had left the company just as he had promised, not as a king, but as a friend. After he retired, Jack did not disappear. He spoke at universities. He explored Africa, looking for ways to help young entrepreneurs there. He launched new programs for rural teachers. He focused all his energy on philanthropy. But in late 2020, something strange happened. Jack gave a speech in Shanghai. In his speech, he criticized the Chinese financial system and said that it needed to be reformed. Soon after he gave that speech, Jack Ma disappeared from public view. There were no more interviews, no speeches, no posts on social media. For 3 full months, the world did not know where he was. Rumors started flying everywhere. Was he arrested? Was he under house arrest? Was he warned by the government to stay quiet? Nobody knew for sure. Even international news channels like CNN and the BBC were asking the same question. Where is Jack Ma? Then one day, just as suddenly as he had vanished, he reappeared. He was in a short video looking calm and smiling. But something had changed. He looked a little tired. His voice was softer. He said that he was now focusing his time on teaching and philanthropy. Many people believe he was forced to stay quiet after he spoke out against the system. But Jack has never confirmed or denied any of these rumors. He simply stepped back from the spotlight, and that quiet disappearance became another part of his legend. Jack Ma's net worth has changed a lot over the years. It has gone up and down because of the stock market pressure from the government and his own choice to step away from the world of business. At his peak, his net worth was around $65 to $70 billion, making him the richest man in China. Even after stepping back, he still holds billions of dollars in assets investments and shares in Alibaba and Ant Group. But you know what is surprising? He does not live like a typical billionaire. He still wears simple clothes, he avoids luxury cars, and he lives a quiet life. Because for Jack, Ma's success was never really about having a lot of money. It has always been about making a difference in the world. Jack Ma is married to Zhang Ying, his college sweetheart. They met when they were both students at the Hangzhou Normal University. She once said in an interview, "He is not a handsome man, but I fell in love with his thinking. I knew even back then that he would do something great one day." They have 3 children together, and Jack tries very hard to keep his family life very private. He loves reading, traveling, and spending his time with young students and teachers. After he retired, he started teaching again. Not at famous universities, but in small rural schools where the need is real. Because that is the Jack Ma way go, where you are most needed, not where you are most celebrated. Jack Ma is known for giving some of the most powerful and motivational speeches ever. His speeches are simple, emotional, full of humor, and truly unforgettable. Here are just a few of his life-changing quotes. "If you don't give up, you still have a chance. Giving up is the greatest failure. Help the young people. Help the small guys. Because the small guys will one day be big. The young people will have the seeds that you bury in their minds, and when they grow up, they will change the world." And maybe his most famous quote, "Today is hard. Tomorrow is harder. But the day after tomorrow is beautiful." His speeches have changed lives. They have inspired millions of students around the world and have brought hope to people who felt like they had nothing but a dream. He does not just motivate you. He teaches you how to believe in yourself, especially when the world does not believe in you. You might be watching this video from a small town somewhere in the world. Maybe you have failed in school. Maybe people laugh at your dreams. Maybe you are scared that you are not good enough, not smart enough, or not rich enough to succeed. But Jack Ma's story proves one thing. You do not need to be born rich. You do not need to be a genius. You do not need to have perfect English or big connections. All you truly need is a heart that refuses to give up. When Jack Ma was rejected by KFC, rejected from jobs, rejected by investors, and rejected by Harvard, he did not stop. He just smiled, stood up, and tried again. Your rejection is not the end. It is a redirection. Your struggle is your superpower. Your pain will one day become your purpose. So I want you to dream big, but I also want you to start small. Move fast, and never ever stop believing in yourself, because one day the world will know your name. If you want to change your life, if this story gave you goosebumps, if you felt inspired, emotional, or even just a little more powerful inside, then imagine learning something like this every single day. This channel is not just for videos, it is a home. It is a home for dreamers, for doers, for warriors, and for learners just like you. So please hit that subscribe button right now. Join our family. And remember, every day that you learn something new is a day that you get closer to your dream. We are here to grow with you one story, one lesson, and one powerful idea at a time. This is not the end. This is your beginning. Subscribe now, because tomorrow we rise together.